Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So, my dog is running around. Do you want to come in here? Come on in. Oy vey. So I took a long hiatus from this channel, and honestly I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with this channel. Again, I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background. I enjoy a lot of content here on YouTube. I watch a lot of vloggers, I watch podcasts, all kinds of stuff, a lot of commentary channels. But one of my favorite genres of YouTube videos is true crime videos. So if you're a true crime junkie like me, you probably watch a lot of like Mile Higher podcasts, people like that. I know there's a lot of people that already do this. It's just kind of personal and a passion of mine, so I thought I might as well make videos about things that I'm interested in, and one of those things is definitely going to be true crime. So to tell you a little bit about the history of why I enjoy true crime so much and why it's so personal to me, 9 years ago on March 9th, 2011, a childhood friend of mine was murdered. And that was obviously a huge life-changing event for me, especially as a 16-year-old. You never think that something like that, so horrible, is going to happen to you or somebody that you know until it happens to you or somebody that you love. And when that happened, I kind of poured myself into true crime, and I, for a while, really wanted to become like a crime scene investigator. I was really interested in recreation of crime scenes and helping victims and their families get justice for the things that have happened to them. I didn't end up going into true crime as a career, but it's still something that has stuck with me and has been something that I have been obsessive over, especially in the last few years. And so I just thought it would be interesting to talk about some of my favorite cases and hopefully bring some awareness to these cases so that they can hopefully be solved. This first one that I'm going to talk about is a case that is kind of also personal to me, and something that's really frustrating and confusing, and one that I hope by bringing more awareness to it, maybe somebody can come forward and give some more information about where these women are. And that case is the Springfield 3. Cheryl Elizabeth Levitt was a 47-year-old single mom who worked as a cosmetologist at a local salon in Springfield, Missouri. She was extremely close to her daughters Susie, who was 19, who had just graduated from Kickapoo High School in June. Susie's friend Stacy was also obviously very close to Susie and to Cheryl, and she was 18 at the time of the incident. Susie and Stacy, like I said, had both just graduated from Kickapoo High School in June of 1992. It was June 6th to be exact. Fun fact, I actually used to live just a couple blocks away from Kickapoo High School, and then about a year after I lived there, I moved to a house that's just a few blocks away from where these three women actually ended up going missing from. So I thought that was kind of weird. Like a lot of teenagers do, Susie and Stacy attended a lot of graduation parties the night after they graduated. They were last seen at 2 a.m. on the 7th of June, 1992, leaving a party. The pair had planned on spending the night at Janelle Kirby's house, but the party at Kirby's just kept going on and on and on, so they decided to go back to Stacy's house to spend the night there. The pair was planning on going to Whitewater with Janelle and her boyfriend the following day, and if you're not familiar with the Springfield, Branson area, Whitewater is about an hour-long drive from where the girls lived. So the two were off, and that was the last time anybody would see them again. As far as Cheryl goes, the last time anyone heard from her was at about 11 p.m. She was talking to a friend about painting an armoire, which, if you want to believe the theory that the trio ran away, seems like a really odd thing to talk about as your last conversation with anybody. It really seems like Cheryl had no idea what was about to happen. So Janelle, the friend the girls were supposed to be staying the night with the night before, headed over to Stacy's house at about 9 a.m. the next day, after she hadn't heard from them. Now, her and her boyfriend's behavior once they enter the house is very strange. Like I said, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts and watch a lot of true crime television, and I have never, ever heard of anybody innocent acting like this at a crime scene. So when Janelle and her boyfriend got to the residence, they noticed all 3 women's cars parked out front. The front door was unlocked, and outside on the porch lamp had been shattered, but the bulb inside of the porch lamp was left totally untouched. I just think that detail is so strange. How do you break a porch lamp and not break the light bulb inside of it? Especially if you're coming into the house and you're trying to scare somebody. How would you manage to hit that and not manage to break the bulb? So Janelle and her boyfriend clean up the glass innocently, and the police believe that this was crucial evidence that they basically just got rid of without even thinking about it. Once they were inside, they found Cheryl's dog Cinnamon, who was obviously very agitated, but they didn't find any of the women. While they were inside too, Janelle answered not 1, but 2 mysterious phone calls, both of which the police just wrote off as pranks, even though they were obviously really creepy and full of sexually explicit content. I also just think this is a really weird detail because it's like, that means that someone was watching them. I mean, what a perfect timing then when the first people to enter the house since the disappearance, and 2 phone calls come through in the short amount of time that they're in the house. We actually don't know much else that happened. Janelle and her boyfriend seemingly cleaned up, tidied the house, and hung out for a while and then left. But you'd think that they would call the police after all of this weird stuff, right? Nope, they just leave. That's it. It's not actually until a few hours later that Stacy's mom shows up to the house looking for Stacy after not being able to get a hold of her. After coming into the house and finding the same things that Janelle and her boyfriend found, she decided to do the right thing and call the police. But by this time, it had been 16 hours since the 2 girls were spotted leaving that party. If you know anything about true crime, you know that in disappearances, the first 24 hours are crucial. And already, 16 hours were gone. When Stacy's mom got to the scene, she found all 3 women's purses lined up, everything left behind, and her daughter's clothes taken off and folded neatly in a pile. After making the call to the police, she checked the answering machine to see if, there was any kind of information on there, and listened to a disturbing voicemail that she accidentally erased. I swear the people in this, they just don't take the phone calls seriously. I don't understand. So from the time the girls were last seen to when the police finally arrive on the scene, it's been 16 whole hours. In that time, the police estimate that nearly 10 to 20 people had contaminated the crime scene. 10 to 20. When the police got there, they did notice that Cheryl's bed had been slept in the night before. There's also some reported sightings after the 2 a.m. sighting of the girls at the party. Someone later reported that they had seen the 3 at George's, which is a restaurant literally just down the street. I actually used to live just a few houses up the road from this restaurant. And from living there and going there often, I can tell you the restaurant is small and it would be really difficult to miss 3 women, who are apparently distraught and misidentify that. Another witness later came forward and said that she saw Cheryl erratically driving a green van. Could this have been the 3 women? Could somebody have been in the car forcing Cheryl to drive the 2 girls somewhere? That's kind of the theory, but nothing ever panned out from that report. And as far as the girls are concerned, that's the last anyone's ever heard of them. The trail's gone cold. Between them not being reported missing for 16 hours to all of the contamination at the crime scene, there's just not much for police to go off of. Except a few leads that have come up since. So on December 31st of that same year, a man called into America's Most Wanted and said that he had information about the Springfield 3. But whenever people tried to patch him through to the Springfield Police Department, the line went dead. Another interesting development in the case, and something that really frustrates me, has to do with a construction site nearby. In 2007, crime reporter Kathy Bard invited Rick Norland, a mechanical engineer, to scan a corner of the parking garage of Cox Medical Center with ground-penetrating radar. They found 3 abnormalities matching the size and description of the Springfield 3 in one corner of the parking garage. Even though this was a huge breakthrough, the Springfield Police Department refuses to dig up the site, claiming that it's too expensive and there's not enough data to support that this could be the Springfield 3. It especially creeps me out because if you don't know this about me, I suffer with a chronic illness and I've stayed in that hospital numerous times. So it just gives me the creeps. And it also upsets me that the police department just claims it's too expensive, there's not enough evidence, and blah, 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 when the construction was happening a year after the women went missing, and it matches exactly the sizes of what could be 3 bodies. I mean, what else could they possibly be? So right now, the main suspect in this case is a man named Robert Craig Cox, an Army Ranger who's currently serving a lifetime sentence in Texas. So he's serving a sentence for kidnapping and robbery. Kidnapping. Ring any bells? In 1992, Robert was living in Springfield at the time the women went missing. His alibi was that the next morning he attended church with his girlfriend, but later his girlfriend said that that wasn't true and that Robert had forced her to lie. In 1997, he claimed that he knew what happened to the Springfield 3 and that their bodies would never be found. But ever since then, he hasn't said much else, and says that he won't come forward with any more information until after his mother dies, so that trail's kind of gone cold too. Robert Cox also has an interesting connection to Susie in that he worked with her biological father, so that's kind of strange. Another person of interest in the case was Steve Garrison, who's currently serving a 100-year sentence for rape, sodomy, and robbery. He apparently knew some facts that the public didn't even know, specifically the report about the green van. The police looked into it, but nothing really ever panned out. Another interesting theory is with Susie's ex-boyfriend. So him and a couple of his friends had just been arrested for grave robbery. Yeah, you heard me right. Grave robbery. They had stolen a skull and claimed that they were just going to sell the gold in its teeth to a local pawn shop. But that leaves me with a lot of questions, like, how do you know the skull has gold in its teeth until after you dig it up? So what were you really doing? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like finding the gold's just, like, the bonus. It's like, why were you grave robbing in the first place? You couldn't know that these skulls had gold in their teeth, you know? Some people theorize that she was set to testify against him in trial after she had given a statement to police. So could he have killed her to prevent her from talking? There are other theories about this case, like human trafficking, which is a huge problem in Springfield and something that I was made really aware of whenever I was in college there. And there are also a lot of other theories on Reddit. I'll link some of my favorite Reddits about this case in the description down below. Personally, I really believe that Robert Cox had something to do with this. I mean, him lying about his whereabouts the next morning, him having the connection to Susie's dad, it kind of all just makes sense. And especially whenever you factor in that he later was connected to Disappearance, I believe, in Florida, it kind of just all, connects. I also think he could have potentially kept them alive or hidden them somewhere and then moved their bodies to the construction site. Because where the 3 anomalies are at the Cox Medical Center are underneath a parking garage. So it's not like a parking lot where you could just dig straight down. I mean, it would be a whole major construction, a whole ordeal to dig down and find these women. So, it could be possible when he's saying, oh, you'll never find them, that he knows that they'll never tear down that parking garage just to find out what these 3 anomalies are. I just wish that the hospital and the police would work together on this and somehow figure out a way to send a camera down there or some kind of, test for like biological material or something, so that we could find out if these 3 anomalies are just anomalies or if they really are the missing women, the Springfield 3. And that's all I've got for this one. Of course, if you know anything about the Springfield 3, the Springfield Police Department is still accepting tips. Over 5,000 tips have come in since these women went missing in 1992. But they put together a reward of $42,000 for any information that could lead to the location and prosecution of who might have done something to these women. So I'll leave all that contact information down below if you or someone you know thinks that you might have some information about this case. And tell me in a comment below, what's your theory? What do you think happened to the Springfield 3? Honestly, I've kind of put all my eggs in one basket with Robert Cox, but I'm kind of open to any ideas. Just the other night, my friends and I went to a local bar in Springfield, and on the door to the bar was the missing persons poster for the Springfield 3. This is still a case that people are really interested in, and I would love to hear your theories down below. Is there another case you'd like me to cover? Let me know in a comment down below too. Anyways, stay safe guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.